The sanctuary is needed today for the church and for society as a whole because we live in a society, there's a lot of isolation and also a lot of targeting of people who are different from ourselves, people who are vulnerable. And we need an opportunity in which the society can come and interact with people who have been marginalized and can come and discover that they are human beings just like everyone else. And so the sanctuary is necessary for offenders, but it's also necessary for the members of the community who are seeking to come to an understanding of what it means to be mutually vulnerable with others, to find that healing within themselves as well. My name is Father Richard Rene, and I'm the director of St. Silas Orthodox Prison Ministry. I've worked as a prison chaplain, and I've experienced what it's like for offenders who are being released into the community. For them, it's an experience that is full of pain, of isolation, and of fear. And that was the moment that for me was the beginning of the sanctuary, because I sought a way to bring them into a place where they were free from that isolation and that fear. I become aware that there are many people who have been in prison for many years and who have done their time, they've changed their lives, they're walking a new path, and it's time for them to re-enter the community. But they find themselves disconnected from society. They find themselves in a place where the world has moved on and left them behind. And so when they get out into society, they feel alienated, they feel alone, they're full of fear. Oftentimes, when corrections is done with them, they're simply dropped off and left to their own devices. Many of them have conditions of parole, and they have a hard time meeting those conditions. And they lack a fundamental thing, which is belonging. They lack belonging. They lack a community that can gather around them to support them and help them on their new path, to help them to walk in this new life that they have embraced. And so it's become clear to me that this is an issue, and so the idea of the sanctuary kind of came out of this experience of being a prison chaplain, and it's something that we've been envisioning and dreaming about for some time now, and hoping that we can find a way to meet that need through the sanctuary.
Without having the option of having the sanctuary, that would be would be scary a bit. That there'd be a lot of anxiety because it's like an unknown. And then the things I do know about other places, they're not really that good. You know, they have you in an area that's high crime, drug activity, that kind of stuff. So, you know, even though those aren't my vices, it kind of gives you like a hopelessness feeling, you know what I mean? And having been in a halfway house before, that was just sort of like a place to transition. You didn't really feel like you were part of something. And I don't know, there's just like that alone feeling. It's like where if you, with the sanctuary, you know that there's a place that you can go with like-minded people that are willing to support you and not judge you. If you go to another place and there isn't a sanctuary, there's always going to be that judging. There's probably going to be conflict sometimes with people you live with. You know, it's very challenging sometimes, especially like going out after 20 years. You know, it's like everything's new. It's, yeah, I don't know. I can only imagine what it would be like, and I think my anxiety would be through the roof. Sanctuary is definitely something that I think gives a person peace of mind, knowing that there is a place to go, you know, and it's going to be a safe place. So without it, well, I don't know. Probably wouldn't be that good.
That's one of the big things that I was thinking about upon release, like where am I going to go? Like, you know, because my background, I was adopted, So I don't have no biological family that I know. And all the people that did it, like in my adopted family, they're all passed away. Like, cause when they took me in, they were older than my parents would have been. So when I'm getting out, I'm by myself, right? So the sanctuary is a good place, you know, when it gets up and running for me to go to. And it's faith-based with my Orthodox, right? And yeah, it'll be a stress that's not there, right?
And I think it'll also possibly have something to do with reducing the recidivism rate too. You know, because I think when guys get out there and they feel safe, they're less likely to take off and, you know, give up, right? Because I think that's what happens a lot of times is guys, they lose hope. They get into a place that's not supporting them. You know, maybe they're feeling overwhelmed by restrictions, and you know, sometimes guys, their anxiety drives them to do stupid things, right? And you know, I've seen it a lot, right? Even and also addictions, guys having addictions and stuff. You know, I don't personally have that problem, but there's a lot of guys that do, and I don't know if necessarily they would go to the sanctuary if they want to, but if they did, I know it would be a safer environment and it would probably help them quite a bit. So, yeah, it's a place of hope.
So the location of the sanctuary has been a challenge for us. We're looking for a place that is close enough into town, into the city, so that our residents don't feel isolated. But we're also looking for a place that's secluded enough that the people in the community could feel safe and that there could be some privacy for our residents. We're looking today at this one property here, which is about 9 acres and has lots of room where our residents can come to gather for prayer and for fellowship and for building community, but also places where we can build some tiny houses, some prefab homes where they can have a little bit of privacy and a little bit of independence. The sanctuary is a place of second chances. It's a place where people who have made a decision to reconnect with their own humanity can come and live together. They can work in a community garden. They can work in a workshop sustaining their life. They can find some independence and some freedom. And the community itself can benefit. They can come and discover that these are not monsters. These are broken individuals who have turned their lives around. They can discover in them their own humanity, their own vulnerability. And in doing so, we can bring the marginalized and the center of our society back together again. We can heal a lot of the divisions and a lot of the isolation that we experience in modern society. And so the sanctuary is necessary today. It's not just a halfway house. The sanctuary is a holistic community, a community based on prayer, on work, on fellowship, on shared meals, on shared interactions with one another, and ultimately with shared vulnerability that allows us to envision a world in which we are not divided, we're not isolated, we're not alone, and we're not afraid. We're united in our common humanity, our common vulnerability, our common life.